Michael Conforto was once a star in New York. Instead, he's now the guy who turned down $18 million. Once one of the pivotal bats in the Mets lineup from 2017 until 2021 when his production dropped significantly, Conforto elected free agent at the end of the 2021 season. And after yesterday's playoff roster deadline, will most likely not play in 2022. Welcome in, everybody. We're going to talk about this Michael Conforto situation. Man without a team, the Michael Conforto conundrum, the curious case of Michael Conforto as he now, as that playoff roster deadline has passed, again, might not be with the team. So we're going to dive into that. Want to remind everybody to subscribe if you're just finding us for the first time and drop a like to show your support for the channel. It is the best way to support me and BALLCAP Sports. So let's get into this again. Taking a closer look at Conforto. Those years from 2017 to 2018 and 2019. Yes, we're going to include 2020 as well. We'll talk about that. 2020 was a funny year for a lot of players, and it was for Conforto in a beneficial way, that 322 batting average in 2020. But come on, we really know who Michael Conforto is. He's a 250 hitter, 260, maybe 270 hitter. But what we saw from 17, an all-star with the Mets, we had a 27 homer, 939 OPS, most importantly. Dipped down in 2018, just missed that 800 OPS mark. And then in 2019, bounced back to an 856 OPS with 33 home runs, 92 RBI, setting career highs in 2019. And again, 2020, the pandemic year, had a nice season, but then it all came crashing down in 2021. The OPS dipped down to 729, 14 home runs, just wasn't the same player that we had seen the 4 previous seasons. So who is Michael Conforto? I think when we look at the 2019 percentile rankings, that gives us our best feel. Average exit velocity, this could be league average. Hard hit rate, same thing, league average, but he's able to barrel up the ball. He's able to draw walks. His chase rate is, again, well above league average. So there are good elements to Conforto. Could play a decent outfield for you. That's what you're looking for from Michael Conforto. And he's a lefty bat, something that many teams could have used this season and will certainly be interested in looking for next season. But to see him not get a deal is really something here. So that's a close look at Conforto. Let's walk it back. How did we get to this point where this man has, again, essentially turned into the guy that just passed on $18 million? So here we go. Let's take a look at this. We had, back in November, the Mets extended a qualifying offer to Conforto. Just 2 days later, it was reported that Michael Conforto was going to pass on the qualifying offer, which, remember, that carries a stipulation of a draft pick. If somebody's going to sign Conforto, they have to be willing to part with a draft pick. So Conforto enters the free agent market. A couple days later, we get word from Scott Boras, this is from Tim Healy, that there is extraordinary interest in Michael Conforto, blaming COVID-19 for Conforto's bad start to the season, and said that teams know the kind of player he is. But then a couple weeks go by and we have the lockout. No deal, nothing for Michael Conforto. Interesting that we had all that interest. Still, several weeks, a near month goes by, no deal for Michael Conforto. Weird, right? Weird stuff. But the lockout brings everything to a halt. Let's get out of the lockout. And about a week after, Andy Martino tweets this out. Mets offered Michael Conforto a contract in the $100 million range last spring. So that would be coming out of that 2020 season where he put up those good numbers. It would have gone to about $120 million per sources. So how much you want to believe this? The exact numbers, whatever you want to believe. The fact is, there was a significant offer on the table for Conforto. He decided to turn that down, bet on himself, whatever you want to call it, got bad advice from his agent, whatever you want to say, left money on the table there. That's twice now that Michael Conforto has left significant money on the table. So we now fast forward a couple more weeks, and we start to hear that maybe there's something wrong with Michael Conforto. Free agent Michael Conforto landed irregularly on his throwing shoulder, diving for a ball during a workout during the lockout in January. This from Ken Rosenthal. Wanted to get back to 100% before resuming contract negotiations with clubs. Isn't that so nice, according to Scott Boras? How great is that of Michael Conforto? It's, again, just kind of interesting. Joel Sherman tweeting out, kind of confirming the injury, adding he's back hitting and throwing normally now and working out for teams, according to Scott Boras. And at this point, March 30th, Conforto was the best free agent still remaining. John Morosi tweeting out about a week later, April 4th, Michael Conforto is currently in contact with a number of teams. Scott Boras says Conforto is currently ramping up his baseball activity. There we go on April 4th, and then it all comes crashing down. A couple more weeks go by and nothing happens. We get this on April 23rd. Last week, Conforto underwent successful shoulder surgery, expected to make a full recovery and return to play in spring training 2023. What is going on here? This is a guy who had a ton of interest, then the lockout, then more interest, then an injury, then everything's fine, then more interest, now surgery, and he's done. What is going on? Now, couple more weeks, couple months go by. After the All-Star break, New York Post, Joel Sherman, and John Heyman sit down with Scott Boras to have a conversation. Sherman asks him very pointedly about Michael Conforto and his status.
We've talked a few times about the possibility that he might even come back and play as a hitter this year. Can you give us an idea, post-surgery, where is he at, and what's the likelihood that he can help a pennant contender in 2022?
Well, ironically, now that the draft is over, is that there's no compensation associated with signing Michael, and we've got 4 phone calls this morning, and Michael's, he has extraordinary healing powers, and the doctors are saying as we walk through this, there's a potential for him potentially being, playing and hitting in September, certainly, and we have to see over the next July and August course how his rehab goes to fulfill that expectation. But there is very strong interest by some very good teams. And
just give us in alphabetical order the teams.
And well, let's see. They're all in the United States except one.
Oh.
So, couple things there, right? First, the draft pick compensation. Those of you that have followed the channel been for a while, I kind of had a feeling, I've said it many times, that it just felt like Conforto would have to wait until after the draft was over, because that is when, again, the draft pick comp went away. You didn't have to part with anything for Michael Conforto at that point. Obviously, this injury is concerning some people, and obviously Scott Boras is full of shit, because it has been constant about all the interest. There's interest everywhere. Michael Conforto's great. Potentially this, potentially that. Michael Conforto's great. Interest here. They're all in America except for one that's not. Okay, so much going on here. Is Scott Boras ruining Michael Conforto's chances of playing baseball? I mean, there's something going on here that just feels weird, and it kind of showed itself there, because as we continue along this path, we get to yesterday. Nothing. From July 20th, when that occurred, to August 31st, nothing. Michael Conforto, for about a week, was talked about. Who are the teams? Toronto interested in Michael Conforto, all of that, and then it died down, and there was nothing. Until yesterday, Pat Ragazzo tweeting out and a story posted on SI.com that the Astros had offered Michael Conforto a multi-year deal, 2 years for $30 million, and that Conforto had until the end of the day to sign with the team, or else he won't be eligible for the postseason. And that's important. That's another element to this. However, right after that, or not right after that, a few hours later, Mark Berman tweeting out that Boras was asked about the Ragazzo report in SI.com, and Boras wrote in a text message to Fox 26 Sports, the Astro offer isn't accurate. So, was there ever an Astro offer? or not. Interesting that Boris kind of put it that way. Isn't accurate. Was it a deal for the rest of the year? Was it a deal that did not exist at all? Was it a multi-year deal? Was there no deadline at the end of the day to sign the deal? We don't know that specifically, but it is interesting that it was out that the Astros had an offer. And then again, final word on this is that Conforto did not sign with a team, and the deadline has passed. Now, Conforto could still sign if a non-playoff team wanted to pick him up and Conforto wanted to try to showcase his skills for the last month. But how does that benefit Michael Conforto? What if he struggles and that hurts his value even more? So that is potentially an issue. But he could sign with a non-playoff team who would not care and would just be looking to try to win a few games down the stretch here. I think it's unlikely for that reason. It does not help Conforto. It also does not help the team. If it's a non-playoff team, why would you spend extra money if you're not going anywhere anyway? Additionally, Conforto's hoping for a multi-year deal out of this whole thing. So a playoff team or a non-playoff team could sign him and give him that extra year, but that's not the deal he's looking for. He's not looking for, because that's essentially a one-year deal. That's not what Michael Conforto is looking for. He's looking for the multi-year deal. And a playoff caliber team isn't going to want to do it because they're gambling on him for next season. What if he's terrible and you've locked in money next year? And also that takes away a roster spot as you are making a playoff push for a guy that you might want to add to your playoff roster when you get into October. So there's really no reason for on the franchise side or on Conforto's side for him to sign, which again makes him the man that turned down $18 million this year, turned down $100 million last year, and is just sitting there without it. What do you think about the Michael Conforto situation? Comment below. It is fascinating to have tracked this along the way, from turning down the qualifying offer from the Mets, then having the draft pick compensation attached to him, and then all of the chatter, all of the smoke from Boris about the interest and then the injury, and then he's fine, and then he's not fine. Feel bad for Michael Conforto because it just doesn't seem like this is how he wanted things to go. He had the idea of betting on himself, leaving the Mets, trying to sign a multi-year. Whoever gave him the advice that the Michael Conforto market is hot, don't take that qualifying offer, that was bad advice. And I don't think it took a genius. To come up with that either. I'm sitting here saying it, and I'm far from it. So, and I was saying it then. You got to take the qualifying offer. And he didn't. And who knows what he can get. He may have to take a one-year deal next year, especially if he's coming off an injury that is this serious that nobody wants to touch him. Again, comment below. Let me know what you think about this Michael Conforto situation. Do you want Conforto on your team next year? Because it's probably not going to happen this year. Comment and let me know what you think. This is a really interesting situation. Again, the curious case of Michael Conforto. This has really been sort of fascinating. I'm at least fascinated with it. Again, comment, let me know what you think about it. Also, again, don't forget, subscribe if you're just finding us for the first time, or if you haven't yet, if you're a repeat viewer that has not subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you can find your way back for future content, and drop a like. It's the best way to support the channel is to hit that like. I do appreciate that. Again, thank you for coming in, hanging out, spending some time with the channel. I will add some links to some of the other content that I've posted recently for you to check out here now. Again, thank you for spending some time with the channel and for watching my video.